Hello, viewers. Well, of course, one of the big announcements yesterday was for Forza Motorsport 5 for us. Certainly an important title. It's important to have a racing title for launch. I know there are a lot of people that expected a PGR 5. The rumours have been pretty strong that there's a PGR 5, and they've been solid rumours as well. So it's interesting that it's not happened. That's not to say it won't. We might have a little surprise at E3, but certainly Forza Motorsport will be out for launch. And let's talk a bit about the trailer. Let's take a look at that trailer first, just to remind us a bit about it. So here we are then. Nice scenery, nice lighting, nice solid feel to the graphics, big open environment, still very sparse. This is early in development. So it's lacking a lot of life feel, nice smoke, nice mist, the two McLarens, wonderful detail in the buildings. Quite a lifeless feel to this trailer, it has to be said. In cockpit looks fantastic. Nice tyre smoke, detail there in the surrounding environments. Reflections, everything you'd like to see. The paintwork looks incredible. Lights look fantastic. It's Auto Vista as we expected in gameplay form, and look at that detail. Absolutely fantastic, and the sound isn't too bad. Look at those tyres. I know Dan Greenwald's always been a big fan of tyres, and this brings his vision to life, doesn't it, in terms of the graphical fidelity we have on offer here. It really is. It's not going to get much closer than this. So the Forza 5 trailer, there it is. What do I make of it? I know that it's been a hotly anticipated trailer, hasn't it? And I know when we look to a new console, they don't have as much time to make a game. But Forza Motorsport, they've managed to put out incredibly large products every couple of years. Forza Horizon, don't get that mixed up. A lot of people did. Forza is essentially a different franchise within there. At the moment, the potential is there. I necessarily wasn't sold on the trailer. It wasn't a motorsport trailer. It was a couple of production sports cars going around a pretty sparse environment with commentary that didn't seem appropriate. That's basically how I saw it. If we were watching a Le Mans race or a GT race or something like that, I think the commentary would have been more appropriate for it. I personally would have liked to have seen more of a track racing environment rather than this PGR style that we got, and it was very confusing with PGR. Will we find that Forza 5 is more of a taster of what's to come rather than the full game? I'm a little bit concerned about that in this trailer, but it's so early looking at it. You could see they've still got a lot to add in terms of tarmac detail and environmental detail, and plus all the field of cars and everything. So they're holding a lot back for E3. The slow motion of the wheels and tyres obviously is staggering. I think that in terms of graphics, we're reaching that level now where it's getting to real life. You know, there's not a lot missing from it. I think when we have a new generation of console in 10 or 15 years after this, we know it's going to look like real life. So we know where the benchmark is. It's not going to look a hell of a lot different to what we have now. So they have more power now to play with the physics and everything else. And if we look at the screenshots here, we can see the detail in the car models, the interiors. This is an Auto Vista model that's in the game, and it looks absolutely fantastic. You know, people talk to me and they say, I've mentioned this before about PCs. I haven't seen a PC game that, yes, Project Cars. That screenshot is as good as a £2,000, £3,000 PC playing Project Cars. I've not seen anything in a game currently available on the PC in terms of racing that comes anywhere near that. Assetto Corsa, no. Project Cars, it's not even out yet, but no. Nothing really comes that close. And why is that? Well, that's because Forza Motorsport, they have a huge budget for developing models and graphics and everything else like this, and really pushing it to the limit. And they have an architecture. Every single Xbox is the same, so they know what the limits are and how much RAM they have to play with, and how much they can use in terms of squeezing the graphical power out of it. And if we move on to the next picture here, again, more about the cars and the environments. The environments are still quite open at the moment, so they're clearly in sort of dead feeling, dare I say it. We see people on the bridge, but on the whole, there's still a lot of work to be done in tarmac, in atmosphere and everything else. Nice big open environments. Clearly the system's got no problem with those. This third picture is fantastic. I like the feeling of speed through this picture, the smoothness of the car. Again, can you imagine how much fun there's going to be with the photo mode here, and what features they're going to have in it, especially with recording gameplay, stuff like that they're talking about with the new Xbox. It's going to be crazy. Everyone's going to become a YouTube star with what they can do on a system like this and with their driving skills. And again here, another shot looking at the rear, detailed carbon fibre. Wonderful flow to the McLaren P1. It really is a fantastic looking car. They've really gone overboard with it, and I like that. You know, it's very different from McLaren. McLaren is such an economical team in the way they do things. They like systems that work, that are perfect, and quite often the most perfect system is a system that is quite basic looking. But they've really gone all out there, and it looks fantastic. Again, there, a bit of the background. We look at the trees, the environments, what they have to play with now. You know, they don't just have more processing to add increased physics like we've never seen before. They have the processing to increase the background and the environmental feel. I hope we see day and night. I hope we see all kinds of weather conditions. There's no reason why we shouldn't, frankly, in this version, though they may say with development time it's limited. You might see that in the next one, who knows. This next picture, look at the field of view. That is an incredible field of view, it has to be said. That's what I'm talking about. That's a real next generation feel. There's a solidity to the environment. All right, sure, they've still got to put in a lot more detail in terms of people and everything else, make it feel like an event. But wow, you know, we don't see that very often. It's going to run that. Let's hope we manage that 60 frames. That would be the cherry on top. If it's not running at 60 frames, I will be disappointed. I'd like to see us running at 60 frames. But either way, some of the best looking visuals we've ever seen in a racing game ever. Again, next screenshot, I mean, says it all for itself. The particle effects there, the tyres, tyre wear. No doubt they'll include all the different tyre systems, really up-to-date technology in the car. Absolutely fantastic. You know, we can see some of the carbon fibre bodywork there. You know, really staggering details, all brought together. Fantastic. And of course, then we see the Forza Motorsport poster. And again, looking absolutely fantastic. A nice racy feel to it. You know, this is what we want to see. This is what we want to see from Forza Motorsport. So visually then, looks really nice. Now I see people talking about physics. Is it real time? This is real time. This is all real time here. No doubt it will look no different to that. Forza Motorsport have never been someone to put out bull shots, as it were. They've always put out the real thing. In terms of physics, you get nothing from the actual trailer. As I say, it's not a pure simulation motorsport trailer, and I think it would have been nice because I'd have got personally a lot more out of that in seeing the cars attacking rumble strips and bouncing around and suspension systems and everything else, and seeing a field of 20, 30 cars attacking a corner. Instead, we see two cars on their own on a pretty sparse track, power sliding around a corner. You know, it is still very early in development, and Microsoft will hold a lot back. So what do we know then? Forza Motorsport looks good. Forza Motorsport has a heritage, which means it's going to be a huge game. Paint your cars, mod your cars, do your stuff, and lots of environments as well, plus new environments and maybe a few old ones knocked on the top. So lots to look forward to there in Forza Motorsport, and we'll hopefully get some footage for you guys at E3. And if we don't, I'll be on to Turn 10 to see what we can get out of them as well, because we've done a lot for Turn 10, and we'd like to get our hands on this game that we to really get a feel for it, see what it's all about. What am I hoping for? I guess I'm hoping for more in the way of, first I'd like to find out what steering wheels actually work on the new Xbox One. Does it use the PC steering wheels or not? Just be nice to know. The second thing I'd like to know is if it does use a wheel, does it feel better with a wheel than the previous versions? Because for me, those previous versions haven't always worked well with the wheel. The acceleration, I've not felt the limit that well. Sometimes the cars just seem to spin out and you feel like, well, there really wasn't any indication that I was at the limit of grip and stuff like that. So they have a lot of information going on in terms of simulation. It's not just not translating that to the driver, and I think the new rumble sticks for the pad will help, but let's see that given to the driver with the wheel as well. I think that's an essential part of this. Imagine that on triple screens. Going to look fantastic. So that's it for this video. My feelings on it are positive. It's Forza Motorsport. I know what Dan is trying to achieve with it. Something else I am looking forward to with it though, and it was something a question I put forward to Dan a couple of years ago, and I've been talking about showing this on the channel for some time. Let's take a look at this clip from an interview I did back in 2011. See if this might give us some indication for the future. Just one question I wanted to ask you, and it's to do with the word motorsport that we see somewhere on here. Open wheel cars are hardly ever featured in a racing game, and is that just down to interest from the lack of interest from the community? It's something I've been very passionate about, but I never see often.
You know, every time we look at doing the new game, as I mentioned, there's these criteria we look at. What is the community asking for? What does the data say? What does the larger world of media say? And what's our vision? And we've got lots of ideas. Ideas aren't our problem. In fact, rarely do we see things where it's like, yeah, we got that one on the list. Doesn't mean we've done it yet, but we got it on the list. And every time we reshuffle the list based on priorities, getting the right idea at the right time. Open wheel is always on that list. Now, there are some technical challenges for doing open wheel, but we've actually tackled a lot of them for other reasons. So we've been slowly kind of nicking away at those things. Now, there is an interesting side that open wheel cars speak to a fractional, I don't mean fractional by small, but I mean it's a divided group. There is definitely interest around the world, but we're still waiting for the right time to tackle the last tricky technical issues and to get the right partnership to get everything right. There's a couple things that actually, part of it is, there are two technical sides in particular. One is that we have tire flex, or not just tire flex, but body flex. And a large part of those super stiff chassis, like in a Formula One car, come from flexing in things like the push rod. And the animations going on in those, it's not just a multi-link suspension, it's also the animations going on and all these different pieces. Plus there's flex in them. It's a lot of complex stuff to be, animating at the time. We've got some of the technology, not all the technology. To get it across the goal line, we're waiting for the right moment to push us over. So we always look at it. I watch open wheel. I love Formula One. Plenty of guys in our team do. It's not for a lack of passion. It really comes down to where we put our investments with the team that is doing that incubation.
So that was a little insight into an interview I had a couple of years ago. It was never shown due to severe problems with the microphone, and it's a real shame because that interview really did go into his career and the journey of the development of Forza behind the scenes. And I've asked a few questions as well. And for me, I'm, as many of you will know, I'm a passionate open wheel racing fan. There isn't really anything like that on console. What was there? Race Pro. Besides that, there's not really been anything in terms of open wheel. Grid, I think, had a couple in it, but nothing for real simulation fans. And I think for me, it's something which I'd love to see in the new Forza. I would love to see the word motorsport used more. I would like to see more motorsport rather than just supercars going around a track on a track day. Forza track day might be. But then Gran Turismo is in the same boat, isn't it? Frankly, it's more of a track day rather than an actual motorsport game. And I'd like to see it get back to motorsport. Leave the track day stuff for Forza Horizon. Let's get the motorsport stuff together here and get those open wheels going and those different categories of cars that we'd all like to see. But that is it for this video of Forza. And as ever, there'll be more from me on Forza and all the other racing games very soon.